It's not just Angela Rayner who finds herself on the defensive. Rachel Reeves has come out fighting, claiming many of her critics are talking rubbish. So who could she be talking about? And does she have a point? Welcome to The Week in Business with me, Christian May. Imagine returning from your summer holiday to find that your boss has poached your deputy and hired a brace of advisors to advise him on your job. That's the situation Rachel Reeves found herself in, though Downing Street insists that she and Keir Starmer agreed on the plan. The mini reshuffle of people and roles that most people have never heard of and will never think about was in fact pretty consequential. In appointing Darren Jones, until recently the Chancellor's number 2, to a powerful new position inside number 10, Starmer is admitting that the machine has not been delivering. He needs Jones, we're told, to drive through his agenda across departments. Then, in appointing his own personal chief economics advisor, he's admitting to a number of things. First, that number 10 hasn't been across the economic agenda, politically and in terms of policy choices. Secondly, he's saying that the Chancellor is not his chief economic advisor. And thirdly, his choice of guru is revealing. Minouche Shafik, Baroness Minouche Shafik, is no bland centrist. Fresh from an embarrassing stint running a US university, about which the less said the better, she's now got the ear of the Prime Minister. Supporters say she brings clout and heft, but what will she do with it? She's on the record calling for people with comfortable pension pots to pay more towards the common good, and she worked hand in glove with tax maniac Torsten Bell on a report that called for wealth taxes and higher inheritance tax, so she'll fit right in. Now, Rachel Reeves, having had her wings clipped in this way, has confirmed that her second budget will be on November the 26th. That's quite late, about as late as it can be, but as Ian King quipped yesterday, bad numbers take longer to add up than good ones. Reeves said the budget would be about reform and renewal, generating growth that people can feel. She also reiterated that her fiscal rules, that day-to-day government costs will be paid for by tax income rather than borrowing, and that she'll get debt falling as a share of national income by the end of this parliament, are non-negotiable. Well, that's good to hear, and God knows the bond markets need to hear it again and again, but it means that in the absence of stellar growth forecasts, spending cuts or tax rises are absolutely essential. You could argue they're non-negotiable. We now know how hard this government will find it to get spending cuts through their MPs. They tried it once and they were humiliated. So tax rises, of course, are coming. Expectations range from around 12 billion to an eye-watering 50 billion. Yesterday, the Chancellor specifically rejected that upper figure, and she slapped the economics body responsible for coming up with it, the National Institute of Economic and Social Research. She said that this institute had got their numbers wrong more than once in recent years, and she'd better hope that they've got them wrong now. She broadened her defence, saying that a lot of people trying to preempt her decisions are talking rubbish. Can't think who she's referring to. Could it be the British Chamber of Commerce, who yesterday warned the economy is stuck in first gear as it downgraded its forecasts for growth next year? Or perhaps she meant us here at City AM. Or maybe she meant Deutsche Bank, or the Institute of Directors, or Capital Economics, or Goldman Sachs, or ING, or Bloomberg, or Rathbones, or Oxford Economics, or Andy Haldane, or AJ Bell and IG, or Quilter, or Blick Rothenberg, or the Institute of Fiscal Studies. She went on to say that a lot of what her critics are saying is irresponsible, which is a bit rich, coming from the Chancellor that promised never to repeat a budget like last year's, but who now has to find twice the amount of money as she snatched from British businesses in higher tax this time last year. Reeves did at least concede yesterday that the economy is not working well enough for working people. But she said it isn't broken, just a little rickety perhaps. Can she fix it? Well, we hope so. But what's needed most of all is a reduction in spending to reassure investors and a reduction in the tax burden to stimulate real economic growth. Now, I don't see how she could do either of these things, even if she wanted to. But the clock is now counting down to the budget, and at that point, we'll see who's really been talking rubbish. And let me end by saying happy birthday to City AM. 20 years old today. 20 years. A lot has changed. This is my second stint as editor. When I was first here, coming in 2015, I used to make the case quite often for an app. I said we should have an app. And higher-ups at the time would say, why would we discourage people from picking up the newspaper? We don't want an app. We want people to pick up the newspaper. Well, here we are, some years down the line from that, our 20th anniversary. We're still in print, and we have an app, and 250,000 people are now using it. I think it's a really exciting time for City AM. I'm really excited to be back here. The team here is as good as it's ever been, in my opinion, and we have got some very big plans. So, 20 years old, here's to another 2 decades. And that is it from me this week. So stay up to date and in the know with that City AM app and on cityam.com, and I'll see you next week.